vines for the purpose of winemaking is very challenging in terms of monitoring microclimate conditions and plant conditions. Tropical viticulture is even more challenging because of the erratic climate changes here in the tropic. This is the case of our client, the Andreu Solé Winery Vineyard in Guanica. So this provides motivation to build a system that reduces the workload of monitoring the plants in the vineyard. So Agromesh is a machine-to-machine wireless sensor network that measures microclimate conditions and other parameters, and it's capable of storing this data inside the same wireless mesh network in a distributed manner, and also provide means on-site for the user to see this data, grab this data, download it, and see other calculations done with it. So this is basically a block diagram of what would be a node in the wireless mesh network. It's centered around a node computer. We use the Raspberry Pi, and then with a wireless adapter with USB, it connects to the other nodes in the network and also to the client, so he can access the graphic user interface from any Wi-Fi capable device. On the right side, you see the embedded system components. This includes all the hardware and software that has to do with interfacing the sensors with the network. We use an MSP430 that will collect the analog and digital data depending on the sensor, and then forward this information with serial communication to the node computer. We also have the power components. Since it's a remote location, there's no power distribution. We use a photovoltaic panel with a DC to DC converter and a maximum power point tracking technique that delivers the optimum power to the battery. And then linear dropout voltage regulators for the embedded systems components and the Raspberry Pi. So basically we have three types of nodes in the network. We have the automatic weather station to measure microclimate conditions. We have measurement nodes that measures all the parameters near the plants, and we have the access point. This provides a connection for the user in the network. The measured parameters include wind speed, precipitation, UV radiation, soil moisture, ambient humidity, and air temperature. Also using these parameters, two additional are calculated. First one is growing degree days. Is a unit that farmers use to be able to determine in terms of temperatures when it's favorable for the crop to grow, and it helps them determine the crop yielding date. The other one is downy mildew. It's a disease that plants can get. What the system does is calculate and predict conditions for downy mildew to happen. This way, the farmer will not have to go through the vineyard to see the leaves and see if they're sick. He can just know that there were no conditions present for downy mildew, and there's no need to monitor the plants before using the grapes. The approach that we chose throughout the semester, we basically divided the requirements into three main modules. The sensor components, as I said, all the hardware and software to interface the sensors with the network. The power components for the photovoltaic system, all the hardware and software involving that. And then the high-level software, which includes the data collection, distribution, and storage inside the network, also data calculation for growing degree days and downy mildew, and the web application that's accessed from the same wireless mesh network. And what we did was, early in the semester, we designed the interface between these three modules, and then each one of us took a module and independently designed and developed and tested each module, and the basically integration was very simple at the end of the semester. I'm going to leave you with Rodolfo Flores to talk about the results of the project.
So for the impact of this Agromesh system, we have from the legal standpoint that all the software components that were developed were reuse code that open source license. From the environmental impact, basically we have the disposal of the battery. We have to instruct the user how to dispose of it, and also plant some warnings about the battery to avoid hazardous situations. Our social impact is that we have positive effects on the local agriculture and tourism, that in effect it will improve the local economy of the region. Basically, our market is any potential customers of any sector of the agriculture. This is because the system can be easily configured and adapt to meet every application needs. We have one non-competitor known as Climate Minder from Rainbird that basically measures the safeties at this system, but they use the internet to transmit the data and process it. this is a benefit for us because we have everything local, and basically usually the farms are very away from any internet networks. So we've built an Agromesh system prototype that complies with the following objective. We have solar power nodes. We basically measure all specific parameters, calculate the growing degree days and preconditions for downy mildew, and we have a graphic user interface that is accessible from any Wi-Fi capable device. We still on budget for a proposed budget with personal salaries from $9,700, fringe benefits around $11,000, and material cost is approximately $1,000 for a total of approximately $20,000. This project was sponsored with the sponsor of Harris Corporation. Now David is going to give you a little demonstration of our system.
Thank you, Rodolfo. So what we have here is our nodes, how they will look on the field. So this is one of our weather station nodes. So in the black box we have our node or our node computer. That node computer has connected the sensors. Here we have our wind speed sensor, our wind direction sensor, or the soil humidity sensor. On the top we have our ultraviolet radiation sensor. Inside the box also there is a battery that powers the system. Connected to that battery is the solar panel that we have on the left. So this is how our graphical interface will look. We display the data in a graph. So all the data that's collected from the sensors, it's displayed on this graph. So the user can select two different axes to show data, and depending on the type of data that he wants, meaning either precipitation or temperature, he can do that type of graph. Also, the user can select the time period that he wants and which node he wants the data from. So the downy mildew. So downy mildew is calculated every hour in a day. So if the user wants to select some period, he can select the period, and depending on the day, there will be some alerts here. So if there is an alert, the alert will throw the hour that the alert was given and what parameters make the alert happen. As far as growing degree days, we calculate growing degree days every day, but we display them as an accumulative value of a month. So that way the user can select a month and he can see that data, or he can select another year, selecting the second period, and he can compare two different years and see what's the difference between both years. And finally, we got the downloading page, so the user can go into the system and select a time frame and select the type of data that he wants. He can just look all the files in the network, he can download it, and he can just upload it to a spreadsheet, Microsoft Office. So this is our presentation. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Over there. It's small, it's like a 2 feet. Yeah. Yeah, 2 by 1. 2 by 1. Any other questions?